Hello, I'd like to introduce you Cindy Tippett. She is our quality manager of eBud Children's, and she's going to talk a little bit about RL6s.
Hi everybody, thanks for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about the RL6 reports. So first of all, I'm just going to give a little bit of background that you've probably all heard before, but RL6 is our tool here at ProMedica so that we can keep track of events that have occurred or might occur. This is anything that happens that was not planned, a safety event for a patient. So equipment that's not working properly, errors that occur, medication errors, errors in treatment, anything of that sort. Something that just doesn't seem right to you that you feel is a safety event or could escalate to a safety event, we ask that you put in an RL6 report. And I want to thank you because your unit notoriously does a great job of reporting events. Now, when I talk about reporting, this is not a punitive measure at all. This is simply your way to communicate to the rest of us about what is happening. So when you put an RL6 report in, it goes to your leadership, but then all those reports come to me. And I actually pull a weekly report that pulls all RL6 reports that were written on this campus concerning any child, so from neonate up to 17 years of age. And it could happen in the NICU, peds. If something happens in x-ray or surgery, those reports come to me. And then we meet, the HRO, High Reliability Organization team, we meet every Tuesday evening and we review every single RL6 that was written. So, for instance, if you put a report in and think, well, I put that in, but I didn't hear back, it's because we get so many reports. The first half of this year, I received almost 900 RL6 reports on children's alone, which is fantastic because I know that our group of people are engaged. But the people that sit at the HRO committee meeting are myself, Diane Gordon from NICU, and we have representation from PEDS, PICU, HEMOC. We have Dr. Bruce Barnett, who's the Vice President of Medical Affairs. He attends. Susan Turner, who's the Chief of the medical staff for the physicians at Children's. She attends. We have representation from lab, from respiratory, from surgery. We even will bring ad hoc members in as we need. And Carla Drew from RISC. Did I miss anybody, Diane? Ken Hecht from pharmacy. He's a great member. So it's not just me looking at these or your leadership, it's the group of us as a whole. So we get together, we discuss events, and we score them. We score them according to whether we think it's a precursor safety event, maybe it reached the patient, caused harm or minimal harm, a near miss event. It didn't reach the patient, but it could have, been an event if it would have reached the patient. Or those serious safety events, the ones that reach the patient and result in moderate harm all the way to death. So when we review the events, if we find any serious safety event, we automatically do a root cause analysis to go through and double check, and we'll investigate, bring a team together, and all we're doing is action planning to make sure that that event we want to find out why the event occurred so we can prevent it from happening again. Sometimes, and I will say this, at Children's, most of our events have not reached serious safety level, and that's because of all the great work that all of you do and your awareness to the process of RL6 reporting. So a lot of times we'll get precursor events or sometimes even near miss events that we think, wow, if that ever happened again, that could be catastrophic. So we will put a team together and we'll investigate it and formulate action plans so that we can hopefully prevent that event from ever escalating or even occurring again. Let's see, I feel like I just spewed a lot of information really quickly. So I want to just give you, this is not a very good picture. Your leadership team can help you though. But you can get to RL6 very easily. When you're in a patient's chart, if you hover over this caret where it says more at the top toolbar there, then you'll get a drop down that shows clinical resources. Hover on clinical resources, and right over here you have all of these at your disposal. RL6 is one of them. And if you click on RL6 directly from the patient's chart this way, it already pre-populates for you with the patient's demographic information, MRN, everything. So that really saves you time with entering them, because I know that it takes a lot of time, and I do appreciate it. You're making things better every time you fill out an RL6 report. And some of the instances and when you would fill out an RL6 report, I'm trying to think, we have identified the problem, for instance, with the tubing coming from pharmacy with lipids, and there have been changes in how TPN is made, how the tubing that we're using due to shortages and such. But because of you putting your RL6s in, then we work as a team and we go back. Ken has done a lot of work with his team in pharmacy then to make sure they know the importance of spiking and flushing, putting the TPN together correctly, making sure that there's not cracks in what they're sending. I know sometimes it still happens, but because we get those RL6s, we're able to hopefully decrease and prevent. We've even changed products sometimes because of the RL6s that we've obtained from people showing a trend in events. And then if we look over here, this is, so when you're going to put an RL6 in, you see all of the different categories that you have. So if you have an employee event, because we are interested in those employee safety events too. We all know there's been an uptick in, unfortunately, workplace violence directed at employees. So if you ever have an event where you feel like, maybe not even physically, but like you were verbally assaulted, or it could even be a staff member, patient, family member, peer, visitor, was aggressive or inappropriate with you, this is where you would put that event. And then because these are not patient safety events, this is an employee safety event, those go directly to your administration. And then we do have a team that is starting to look at all of these safety events as well, so that we can hopefully put some plans in place to decrease those events that are happening. So, I'm sure you're well aware of all of the different categories that are there. Now, sometimes I know people are confused and they may think, should I put an RL6 in or shouldn't I? I will tell you, so for instance, sometimes we'll get an RL6 from someone because they're unhappy with the handoff report, or the way that the patient's bedding or room was left for them. That's not really, unless there's something unsafe, like you found equipment in the bed or something like that, that's not really a patient safety event. That's more an event that you could use that opportunity to maybe talk directly to your peer or your coworker, and I know that that can be really difficult. So if you're not comfortable with that, then I would suggest going to your leadership and explaining to them what happened, and then they can lead you in a better way. And perhaps this person just needs some education on how to better provide handoff, or to better leave their room for the next group of people that are following them. But they can help you with that. What other questions, Diane and Lauren, do you think your team would have?
Could you give us an example of how it would be best to approach an employee when you have an RL6 was written that they were involved in?
Oh, sure. Now, I still hear this, and this is upsetting to me, because RL6s are not punitive. They are not to get anybody in trouble. We are all human beings, so we all make mistakes every day. I've made 3 already this morning I can already think of. But anyway, we try our best not to make mistakes. So if someone approaches you because there's been an RL6 that maybe you were involved in, maybe it was the timing of a medication administration, it should be viewed as more of a learning opportunity. And I know sometimes it's difficult. And For those of you who don't know me, my background is NICU nursing. So I spent 30 years in the NICU, and I know how very detail oriented we are. So along with that, we're very touchy when it comes to someone looking at how we're doing our care or our process. But if someone from leadership comes to you, they're just helping. Look at it as a teaching moment. This is just an opportunity for you to get better, because I know that not one person comes to work wanting to make a mistake, wanting to do anything incorrectly. So this is just them coming to you to say, hey, we noticed that, your medication on baby Smith was delayed, or maybe you missed this dose. Can you explain what happened? And sometimes it's because we emergently had to go to CAT scan or something, and that's why I didn't get it, and I forgot to document it. And that brings me to another point. This is a little bit off of RL6, but as nurses, we have to always remember to document. If we did not document it, it did not happen. So say that the patient was due for a dose of ampicillin, but you weren't able to give it because you had to go to a stat CT or something. So make sure that you document that in Epic. And then another really good place to document, I'll say for another thing, say that you've got a critical value on a patient and you're very concerned about it, and you notified Dr. Jones, and Dr. Jones, said that's okay, we're just gonna watch it, we're not really concerned. And if you're okay with that answer, okay, but just make sure you document that event in event communications, because then it's documented that you notified Dr. Jones, you were satisfied with the answer. Now, if Dr. Jones was to say, yeah, I'm not really worried about it, but you're still worried about it, it's okay as a professional nurse to say to Dr. Jones, could you explain to me, I'm still concerned, why are you okay with this? If you're still not satisfied with the answer, you have the obligation to escalate up the chain of command. So go to your charge nurse, go to manager, director, go and escalate your concerns. Just do it in a professional manner. This is what I see, this is what's happening, this was his response, I'm still not happy with this. And that way you can make sure. And if you document in an event communication, then we can see, oh my goodness, look, Diane was concerned about this. She talked to Dr. Smith here. He never got back to her. She tried contacting again. Dr. Smith still didn't get back, so she escalated to Lauren, and then Lauren took it from there. Then you are 100% covered, and when other people go back to see what happened with the patient, that story is all there in event communication. And I don't mean it to make it strictly a matter about this, but legally as a professional, if you've documented it, that covers you legally and is protection for you as well as good patient care.
Cindy, thank you very much for all your time today and all your great information. And hopefully this will help our staff.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I love coming to the NICU, so invite me anytime.
Okay,
Happy to
thank
come.
you.